All right. It's a Wellness Wednesday. Yeah, welcome. And of course, as usual, we go to our guest, and of course, no stranger. It's part of our family. Oberlin Smith White, ODJP, retired superintendent of police, author, Paul Harris Peace Fellow, and coordinator of Rising Above Our Hurt, which is actually a 16-week social change initiation on domestic violence against children. And this is at Mayday High School, and the initiative was launched on October 28, 2002. And each Thursday, they have a special guest. And this Thursday, which I'm going to have to call her now because she's not on Zoom, this Thursday, which is tomorrow, we have Tashana Indomitable Mullings, a social entrepreneur extraordinaire. And she's going to be speaking about effective communications and positive relationships, which is so important when we're dealing with these youngsters, which is 20 odd of them. So I'm going to ask Oberlin to go ahead and speak. Welcome, Oberlin.
Thank you. Hi, sis. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here again. It's a great day.
Yeah, it's a great day. And what you're doing is absolutely great as we continue with this domestic violence initiation at Mayday High School, which ends in sometime in February of next year?
In February.
Yeah,
yes.
Of next year. Right. So what you can do for me is just go ahead and explain why you picked this particular topic while I link up with Tashana. How important this topic is of where is it?
Effective communication and a positive relationship.
All right, so go ahead and speak to this while I get.
Effective communication. It is very important how we speak in general, because we don't recognize that words have meaning and words carry weight. We don't recognize that. We think that violence is only when you hit someone. Most of the times we think that, but we are recognizing that children hurt from the violence of how we communicate with them, and they take this violence of communication straight into adulthood because they think that this is the way to communicate. And sometimes we find that people cannot have a positive relationship. Can't, because of and people say I saw mistake from long time, because we generally don't do introspection. So a parent will say to a child will say, "Mommy, where do I put the basin?" And the mother say, "Come put it on my head."
True.
And yes, or turn up there with it. So instead of explaining to the child brain is growing. Our brain don't grow, but we recognize we think we finish grow, but we not start yet, because we have to unlearn some things that we learn and relearn, and some people are not open to relearning because we continue to say assumption. So when you say that to your child, you know how you hurt the child. Instead of explaining patiently as the Lord would have wanted us to do for our blessings that the Lord has given us, we slam the picnic. So when the picnic go to school now with that hurt, you're laughing.
No, because the way you explain it is hilarious, but it's the truth. It's so true.
When the child go to school with that hurt, the child pass it on. Because the child is hurting, and sometimes we don't recognize how deeply hurt we are.
Right.
So the child pass it on to his friends, pass it on to teacher, and pass it on to other people around him. And we grow up like that if we don't check ourselves and recognize that the things that happened to us, it was wrong, and we should not move on with it. So this is the reason why it is very important, this topic of effective communication and positive relationship. And this young lady, Tashana, is coming to go through it with us. She's the expert. So I leave it to the expert to say exactly what she planned to do and how she planned to do it. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Obi. I'm bringing in Tashana. Just hold on. Go ahead, please. We're coming right in now. Go ahead, Obi.
I'm just saying that Tashana is the expert. So she's going to say what she's going to do and how she planned to do it. Because she's the expert at the effective communication.
Right. Okay. And she's going to be on tomorrow at Mayday High School. Let's welcome her in. Good morning. Greetings to Shauna, Indomitable Mullings.
Good morning.
And how you
So great to
doing?
join you. I'm fabulous. It's been a great day. I was at the Stakeholder Appreciation Awards for the U.S. Embassy.
All right.
So,
I hear a lot of noise in your background, so something great is happening over there.
yes, something great is definitely happening.
And something great is going to happen tomorrow. Oberlin is online giving us a bit of an
Abs-
idea as to what the theme
yes,
is and so forth. So we want you to expound on that a bit. We have just about 15 minutes left, but I know you won't be able to stay the full 15, so we'll have you do about 10 or so, and then Oberlin will close us off. But go right ahead. In terms of the presentation for tomorrow, she was speaking mainly about how parents sometimes react to children when they ask particular questions. The communication isn't really up there. So talk to us a bit about the effective communication and positive relationships for us, please.
yes. So tomorrow we'll be talking about effective communication between children and their parents,
Mm-hmm.
and how that leads into developing positive relationships,
Yes,
relationships that's important during their childhood all the way into their adulthood, because sometimes we forget how important these relationships are, even
telling
as
you.
we age, even
Yes.
at 35, at 45. I
Mm-hmm.
still want to have a great mommy in my 20s. When I have my first child, I want to have a great daddy and a great mommy to
Mm-hmm.
support me in that process.
Of course.
But it takes commitment to build that relationship and actually demystifying some of the myths that we have around parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Like children should be seen and not heard.
Oh dear.
Of course, they should see, they should be heard. I mean, just it's such to think that our children shouldn't be heard. I
Mm.
mean, it's unbelievable that
Yeah.
that's a narrative that's even allowed to fly. I heard one parent said, that I consider to be practicing positive parenting is I need to see what is even not there and hear what is not said as it relates to how I relate with my child, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's something on their minds, but you observe that through a change of behavior and not necessarily through something that the child says. So, developing those skills to kind of note changes in behavior in your children, how are they reacting to puberty,
Yeah.
if there's a behavior flare up, instead
Mm-hmm.
of hurling a negative comment on the child, just try to dissect and to look at what could be causing this flare up. You
Of
know what I
course.
mean?
Yes.
Instead of just attacking the behavior that is seen,
Mm-hmm.
because every behavior comes from somewhere. What allows somebody to respond angrily versus to think about, let me think about my behavior
And
before I
sometimes this has
respond.
nothing to do with what is being discussed. It's something totally different. It's something that probably happened earlier the
Absolutely.
day or probably 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I want to share is the platinum rule tomorrow, because we know about the golden rule that says
I like that
well,
platinum rule. I'm looking forward to hearing what you're going to say about that.
right? So the golden rule is where you treat people as how you would want to be treated. That's the
Yes.
golden rule.
Yes.
But who says I want to be treated how you would want to be treated?
There we
So the
go.
platinum rule says treat people how they actually want to be treated,
That's
right?
deep,
So
Tashana. That's so deep.
yes,
That's deep.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So listen to your child, understand what their needs and their desires are. Hear
Mm-hmm.
their stories even before they're able to fully express themselves.
Yes. Yes.
Try to decipher what they're trying to say, and don't shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
Create that space.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story some years ago where there was a boy who was trying to get to his mother to say something to her,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she was at work and saying she was too busy. And then after that, the young man had committed suicide. And then the mother felt like,
Jason.
what what if I just taken a moment to
Mm-hmm.
hear
Mm-hmm.
what he was saying,
Yes.
So I
Ah.
might say, well, if I'm busy, someone must understand, because I would have understood,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how I would have wanted to be treated.
Of
He
course.
wants to be heard, and he wants to be heard now.
And that
So
could
if
have
it
saved
needs
his
to
life.
break,
Mm-hmm.
could have
Mm-hmm.
saved his life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is that you could be doing, where if you took 5 minutes to say, hon, I really don't have a lot of time because I'm having a
Right.
tight day.
Right.
Talk to me quickly and we'll pick it up later.
Mm-hmm.
That could
Mm-hmm.
have made
Big
a very
time.
big
Big difference.
difference. Yes.
And obviously she would have been devastated because it could have been a different
absolutely
situation. Yeah,
devastating.
yeah, right.
Exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
that could have been, it's just, I like that Oberlin designed the topic as positive communication
Mm-hmm.
and then positive relationships
Yes,
because
yes.
it
One
intertwines.
leans to
And I
the
mean,
other. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I mean, I've spoken to my mother about, being open with the world when I do these interviews and when I engage with people about the fact that growing up, the relationship wasn't as great as it is now because she was parenting me according to the way she knows how.
That's right.
And sometimes I posit this idea and people respond different ways to it, that sometimes because of colonialism and
Mm-hmm.
all the negatives of our past, we have
Mm-hmm.
learned to behave certain ways,
Mm-hmm.
and we feel like when a child behave a certain way, the next thing that we want to do is take out the whip and whip them,
Yeah,
and
man.
that's
Beat
also
them.
teach them a lesson.
Can you
So
imagine?
it's almost like
Mm.
teach a lesson is synonymous to whipping a child,
Oh gosh.
Always whipping a
Ah.
lesson, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a way to teach a lesson, because
Of
if I know
course.
you're gonna whip me, what that is gonna do is instill fear in me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna learn anything, you
It
know what I mean?
defeats
I'm
the
just
whole
gonna be
purpose.
fearful.
Yeah, defeats the whole
And that will
purpose.
tell me, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that I can't speak to you as a parent. I'm gonna have to be afraid of you. That is what I'm gonna learn
Mm-hmm.
from that situation.
Communication
And so when
breakdown totally right there, so yeah, man. Total breakdown.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so growing
But
up, I
mm-hmm.
mean, my mom was abusive. I don't even know if she understands that
Mm-hmm.
she's abusive. And that's the other thing, is like there's an abusive culture and it's not called abuse.
No,
If
because
fitna do
they
this,
don't,
fitna
because it's
must
not
get
seen
this.
in that way. I mean, abuse is something that's really terrible. So I mean, if the parent is beating you, I mean, to have you obey and do right, that cannot be abusive. But it is. It actually is
It is.
abusive. Yeah, yeah. So I'm happy that you mentioned your personal situation. I was talking to someone up to last night about my dad, and I made the connection because my dad was, I mean, my great role model, but at the same time he was very strict, and I made the connection because he was a part of the Royal Air Force in London, so he was taught in a particular way. I mean, Air Force, we're talking about, that kind of regimented, so you bring that to your family as well. So we have to
Mhm.
consider these things. I want to know though, from you, um, in terms of your mom now, how is she? How you said it's much better. What has changed that in terms of the communication of the relationship? Because that's what you're going to speak into the children and the parents about tomorrow. How has it changed and what changed
Definitely,
it?
definitely. I learned this concept called reparenting.
Reparenting.
Um, Reparenting, yes.
Excellent.
And it
Hmm.
speaks to the fact that, if you grew up in a situation where you weren't parented in a way that was very nurturing and nourishing,
Hmm.
that there is a way that you can look at those needs that were unserved and decide to live in a way where you now serve those needs. And as you become more whole, like for example, I thought when I was young I would have wanted to do more things. So I've gone to swimming, I've gone to
Oh,
taekwondo, like
nice.
different things that I
So
wanted to
you
do
did that
for
now as you got
myself.
older, right? Because you didn't have
Yes,
it in
as
a
I got
childhood.
older,
Hmm.
yes,
Hmm.
even as an adult.
Yes,
And then
awesome.
I speak to my mother in a voice of love, and I explain to
Mm.
her some of the things that I would have wanted.
Hmm.
When such and such happened, it would have been nice if you would have spoken to me in this way,
Yeah,
and it kind
wow.
of started from one day I decided that I wouldn't allow her to speak to me in a negative way again.
Hmm.
And I looked at her and I
How
said,
old were you,
because
if
I
you don't
love
mind? How old were you then? When?
I was in my early 20s or mid
Okay.
20s,
Hmm.
right? But the verbal abuse had continued. And I said to her, because I love you, I will not have you speak to me like this. So as of this day, when you speak to me this way, I will not respond to you, because if I love you, you love me, and we respect each other, I can't stand here and allow you to speak to me like that.
And
And I'm
ultimately,
saying this
you
from a
love yourself with that kind of statement.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I
Hmm.
said, this is from a place of pure love. And it's also because of my love for you as well. So you see, this goes back to the platinum rule. So it's not that,
Mm.
oh yeah, disrespect me and you can't disrespect me. It's also about, because I love and respect you, I can't have you talking to me that way.
Beautiful.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a two-way thing. And
Mm-hmm.
since that day, she has never been disrespectful, because sometimes
Mm.
when our parents are like that, we feel like we can't talk to them. And if we
Mm-hmm.
talk to them, they're gonna say this, and if me this, they're gonna box me down, and you
Mm.
know. But
That's
you've never
awesome.
tried it,
Mm-hmm.
and when it's coming from a place of love, it's beautiful.
Precisely. Yeah.
If I say to her, for the next 6 months, I want to be in my own space. I would prefer if you and everyone else is not around. I find that she's not protecting my space. She's telling other family members that she needs space. Like she understands.
Yes, I
and
love that.
I'm being, I've worked on it, but
Mm-hmm.
it still feels like so amazingly refreshing. I'm like, oh my God, my mom is
Beautiful.
defending my space. She's
I
defending my
know.
mental health.
Wow.
And people like to hold on to the abuse and say, oh, them never send me go school, them never do this. Me nah love them. But the more you hold on to that, for the rest of your life, you're gonna have a tumultuous relationship.
For sure.
Forgive them for
For
how they
sure.
treated you for 20 years. You probably still have another 40 years on earth. Do you want to live
Mm.
that tumultuous way for the next 40 years, or do
Mm.
you want to
Mm.
resolve it?
It
So
needs to be
tomorrow I want
resolved.
to talk about how can we nurture those relationships now when they're still
Mm-hmm.
children, so
Mm-hmm.
those will evolve into beautiful adulthood relationships,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
So you came up
and
with this
really give them
concept of platinum? You came
the
up with the concept
platinum
of
rule.
platinum rule? That's your concept?
It's a concept that is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I find some of these concepts that are not very popular, I like to popularize
I
it.
love it.
And
Mm-hmm.
and there's also a body of knowledge called theories of constraints,
Mm-hmm.
that it's really about looking at conflicts and how we can create win-win situations out of conflicts.
Yeah.
So, from looking at theories of constraints and
Mm-hmm.
creating win-win when there is conflicts and so on,
Yeah.
that's where a lot of these ideas came from.
Yeah. You
Because I've
know,
noticed people don't like conflict, because conflicts are great. From a conflict, you
no.
can learn so much about another person. It
Well,
depends on how you
elaborate a
navigate
bit
the
on
conflict.
that though, because conflict in terms, yeah, conflict how? Conflict what? Because every time you hear the
Uh,
word conflict, you tend to, your brace. Lord God, conflict. No, sir, we
your
don't want a conflict.
brace, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
So,
mean, it's because of conflicts why the whole world is so creative. If everybody did like blue, you can imagine what a blue world we'd live in, you know? So
yeah.
it comes from people disagree, people have different ideas about the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, and the different ideas can coexist. So it starts from a place of acknowledging already that conflicts are going to happen.
Yeah.
So when you already acknowledge that it affects how you respond when a conflict then happens, you're not like, oh my God, he's disagreeing. It's expected. People are going to
Mm.
disagree.
Of course. Of
A
course. I
parent and a
get you.
child come from different generations.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to disagree. I'm
Yeah.
going to think this is okay to wear, and then the mom is going to think this is not okay
Or
to wear,
I
and the
want to
dad
hear
might think something else.
Vibes Cartel music and moms listen to Bob Marley. No, sir.
Yeah, Bob
you know,
Marley is boring,
you're
mom.
boring, man.
You
How can
know,
you listen to that? I want to hear vibes, man.
right? And then they can have a conversation to say, all right,
Mm-hmm.
let's have a day when we're gonna sit, we're gonna listen to some Bob Marley lyrics, and I'm gonna
Yes.
listen to some Vibes Cartel lyrics with
That
you,
balance.
and then we're gonna think about what do we want to be feeding our spirits with, or
Mm-hmm.
want to be feeding our mind with. Let's hear what Bob Marley's song is saying. Let's hear what Vibes Cartel's song is saying. You
Mm-hmm.
understand?
Mm-hmm.
And then come to a place where, maybe based on the child's age, Vibes Cartel's lyrics and the particular Vibes Cartel song is not something they should be listening to. But you
Precisely.
work your way to a place where they recognize that, instead of
Mm-hmm.
just boxing it. Listen to the vibe,
We not,
bam, bam, bam,
yeah, we
bam.
now take listen to that and
When I'm
Ray
not
and
around
Ray.
you, I'm gonna listen to my Vibes Cartel still,
Mm-hmm.
because they here. But
That's
when I've
right.
learned that, Vibes Cartel is really not good for me right now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I
As
see
a
what
youth.
mom is saying, and I
Mm-hmm.
can reflect on that, it's a different
Yeah.
picture. Even if I
But
decide to disobey, in my head, I've learned that this is
yes.
not good for me. Something,
Yes.
and I'm after a while, what you develop in that child, they're going to become able to make their own decisions
Yeah,
and to
great
look at what is
decisions.
really not good
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
You're engendering that, because when you're not there, when somebody telling your daughter that that guy like them and they kind of like the guy for true, they need to make a decision and you're not there at the time,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So you have
Mm-hmm.
to spend the time to develop those skills. And those skills is what I'm saying can be developed out of having conflicts.
Yeah, those are the
You and the child
conflicts.
having a conflict,
Yeah.
and the conflicts can allow you to then go into lessons and you're learning things and you're understanding your child more.
And your
You know, what is it
relationship
that
is thriving. Yeah, man. Good vibes.
it
No, I
makes
know
the
why I don't call you
relationship?
Tashana Indomitable Mullins. Yeah, man. And I know I truly overstand. I wish I could come tomorrow. How, why, Oberlin?
Yeah.
Oberlin?
Yes, I'm right here. I'm right here. I could listen to Tishana all day.
Me
That's what I'm
too.
learning
Me too.
also.
Me too.
Yes.
You know, hear me say, I wish I could come tomorrow. I'm sure that you're going to take her into the other schools as well. You know, boy, I think it's
I
going to be
hope
a good
I
vibe.
am hoping she will be available. She will be available
Yes,
because she's
Yeah.
absolutely.
international, So I have to catch her when
Absolutely
I
great
can.
vibe.
Right.
I
Yeah,
am
but
so happy I met this
excellent.
young, and it's a young lady.
Them when I see
Yes.
the picture, man, Mrs.
A little
Young.
girl. She's a little girl with wise beyond her years.
Yeah, she's an old soul. And
Yes.
that is so cool. That is so cool.
Yes.
I'm so happy we're able to
Yes.
speak to her, and I know tomorrow is going to be really
Yes.
good. Good if you could explain again. Just tell us where, when, what, why Oberlin for tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's a 16 weeks social change initiative dealing with domestic violence and how domestic violence affects children in the short, medium, and long term.
Right.
So tomorrow has you explain, and Tishana, we are going to deal with effective communication and positive relationship because we want parents to understand that if you communicate effectively, you'll have positive relationship with your
Absolutely.
children, and it
Absolutely.
will benefit both in the long
In
run.
the
And I
long
have the
run.
right person we speak from experience to do
Yeah, and
the session.
yeah, and I'm so
Yes.
happy. You know what is going to be really great as well when she talks about her
Yeah.
personal experiences with her mom.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
and children can relate to that, and parents will relate to that also. So I'm saying
Yeah.
to you, Oberlin, that this looks like you're going to have a year long. It's going to be outside of your schoolwork. I know it's a project for school, but to me,
Yeah.
this is going to be something that you're going to be traveling with for years, and you're going to have
I
a
am
life
prepared
cover
to
to
do it
Sean.
because I love to do what I do. So
Yes,
I am
it has to
prepared
be
to do
that
it.
way.
Yeah.
And Tashana, Indomitable Mullins,
Yeah.
has to be on the roster as well. I want to say thank you so much. It's been so just inspiring. And as I said, I'm looking forward.
It
Please
has
remember to
been.
video tomorrow so we can hear, the presentation, Oberlin. See if you can get some
Okay.
pieces of it and stuff, or one of you can.
Yes. Yes.
So thanks again. Have a great day, and I know you're going to have a great session tomorrow, Oberlin. But remember, say a years. I know. 16 weeks. A years. Your work is cut out for
see.
you.
We will see when we go from there because I know
You
that
need
I am going
sponsorship.
into Alphonsus Davis
Yes, that's
afterwards.
for
I know
sure.
I'm going there.
Yeah, and make
Yes.
sure you
They're
include
on the list.
Miss Mullins as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to
Yes.
have her in the Kingston. Don't leave out town school. We need to have her in the Alice Selassie School, Woolmans, Excel.
Yes, I feel
Over.
so refreshed going to Alice Selassie the other day,
Yes.
and I am thinking about them. Yes,
Yeah, man, we need to get them
I
in the
love those
schools.
boys.
Yeah, those boys. Can you imagine the boys? The boys outnumber the girls at Haile Selassie.
Girls, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, Tashana, that
And
would be great for you to be there.
Jamaica want men.
Yeah, we need our
Jamaica
boys.
need men.
Yes,
I would
yes,
love to have
yes,
them.
yes.
I would love to.
So we're gonna plan it. We're here for you, Oberlin. Yeah. So
Yes,
we'll
thank
do
you.
whatever
And
to make it
thank you.
happen.
Plan it and get
Thanks for the
going.
support.
Yeah, well, let's do
And
this.
thank you, Tishana. See you
Tashana.
tomorrow.
Let's do this.
Let's do this, Miss Indomitable. All right, take care, guys.
All
Thank you
right.
so
See you
much.
tomorrow, Oberlin.
Have a blessed
Okay.
day.
Yes,
Thanks,
bye,
Obi.
bye.
Oh my God, it was wonderful. Thank you so much. Wow, Oberlin, they're doing a wonderful. Oberlin Smith White, doing an awesome presentation at the New Day High School in Manchester, and of course, her guest speaker for tomorrow is Tashana Indomitable Mullings, and I'm just loving what's going to be happening. And of course, the more she does it, is the more other schools are inviting her. It's supposed to be an intimate setting. Of the one that she has now is 20 odd students with their parents, some of them parents who can be there. And the next school is saying they want her to speak to 100 students. I mean, really now. But let's see how it can happen. This is what's going to make the change. This is what's going to make the change in our society. We have to start from down there. So from in the womb, as a matter of fact. Yeah, man. We have to start from the young people, from the little itsy bitsy ones. All right. Thanks again on social media, Facebook. Thank you so much on YouTube, everywhere. Thank you all. As we make way for Mech, we talk with Arlene Bailey in just a moment. All right. Soon come.
Yes, Miss Isis. This class is